The bottom line here is progress over perfection. Okay? If you can make that 1% movement, if you can allow yourself to see that 1% and to celebrate that 1%, you are going to end up with 2, 3, 5, 10, 75. You are. It's absolutely going to happen. Well, hi. Thank you for joining me today for this episode of Intuition Your Success Compass. I'm grateful that you're here. I have been taking a bit of license with my podcasts and pumping out there the live classes that I've been doing once a month. And the reason I've been doing that is I haven't felt like talking. I haven't felt like recording or bringing information forth or going through the editing process or anything like that. Although Enrique does my editing. So shout out to him. Thank you very much. I just haven't felt like it. And I thought, you know what? Let's get on here. Let's be real about stuff and have a talk about some of the struggles that all humans go through. And I'm in that category. And we're having such a beautiful day. I decided to record facing the sunshine. I have a little helper here with me today, a calico. She may make it through the whole episode. She may not. If anybody's ever owned a calico, you know they are very determined ladies. So I have been spending a couple months dancing with and getting to know my own imposter syndrome and my inner judge, and who I affectionately call the biatch, because sometimes she's tough. It's tough in there. And I can understand all of the aspects of the neuroscience around how my brain works, why it works. Not all of it. I'm not a neuroscientist, but the level of which I understand it. And I understand energetically what's going on. There's a huge expansion being asked of all of us as humans to navigate the chaos and to be able to be in an energy and a self-command in that we're not contributing to the chaos. So I've been taking my time and really exploring and feeling my way through it, loving life, while also feeling the conflict that I know many of you are going through. So this week we are going to be talking about taming that judge, how I've learned through working with my mini mule, Jake, how to relax it and to be in acceptance of whatever the process is. So, ow, she just bit me. See, this is why you can determine. We're not going to edit it out because the message of this podcast is that's life and things happen. And I honestly believe as humans, we've become a little too sensitive. And I'm not talking about in the intuitive sense. I feel like everything gets labeled as a trauma or a problem or a disorder, or that's a whole other episode. But I feel like we can have a little bit more flexibility with this life and a little bit more enjoyment in it when we quiet that part of our brain that wants to label, judge, and get into personal stories, like in a deficit way, not in a sharing of your story. So thank you again for being here. And a quick intro to Jake, my mini mule. So I sponsor him through a sanctuary and I see him 4 times a week on average. And I've been working with him because when I first saw him, there was a connection. And I know our animals choose us. I believe that from the soul level. And yet I wasn't sure how this nervous guy who didn't want anybody near him was going to be my connection. But I trust these things. And my challenge in the last few weeks has been to not have my judge be so loud. I do all of the things I suggest. I do the PQ reps. I make sure I move my body. I eat well. I rest well. I'm a good sleeper. But there's still going to be that human element in all of us where there's 3 negative thoughts to 1 positive. It's part of survival. It's how we made it to this point in our lives, and it takes some effort and it takes some conditioning to learn how not to listen to the 3 over the 1, or to increase our numbers so that we can have more positive thoughts, more supportive thoughts than we are having negative. So I'm working with Jake and thinking, you know what? This is just going to be energy. I've done this with other animals where I just get really calm and I let them know that they can trust me. And then we have a pretty good outcome. I've done this a lot. Not with him. Not with him. He's such a good teacher for me. And when I was working with him this last week, I thought, this is real life, Vicky. You don't get what you want simply because you wish for it. There must be a little bit of effort to it. And some of this belief, not only in yourself, but in his capability, but also in working through the process. And this is where imposter syndrome can come in, because initially I'm like, I got this. I'm just going to go do what I've done before. But it didn't work. And my head started to really get in the way of our relationship. And I decided, you know what? Completely back off. Just take a breath. And for a couple weeks, we honestly just did, hey, dude, how you doing? Which is how I started it with him. I didn't want to pressure him. I didn't want him to feel like I was another human that was just asking him to do what they needed him to do. I wanted him to feel like we were partners in this. And somewhere along the line, my judge came in and my hyperachiever came in and was like, nope, this is how it's going to be. He is going to change after likely over a decade of abuse and just all of a sudden be this loving guy that I know he is. So I'm grateful for it, because imposter syndrome happens a lot, especially for those of us with high achiever in it. And intuitive people feel it very deeply, because there can be an element of being highly intuitive where you don't feel like you belong anywhere. And you're creating these personas for others to make sure that they're comfortable, and not really asking, like, who am I and how do I want to interact in this life? So then when that happens, you don't live up to not only your own beliefs, but others' expectations, and or even creating an expectation in your head that no one's even talking about. And then that judge moves in, right? Like your inner biatch, or whatever you want to call her. And it will have you judge yourself around your own growth, around your career, your relationship, your parenting, your physical achievements, your reducing your gravitational pull, whatever may be going on in life. This judge is pretty powerful and all is going to be there for the rest of your life. It's an aspect, again, of our survival. So the more that we can understand that we all have one, and sometimes it's a real nudge, you can start to turn it down. So once I realized that my judge was getting in the way, my hyperachiever was really getting in the way of working with him, and I realized that he's the gift. He's teaching me that, no, ma'am, you're not going to make me do anything. He's about 500 pounds. I'm not going to make him do anything. But it's the brilliance of being present and understanding how your brain works that you don't get hijacked as much, but you are able to understand and shift your perspective. That, what if the judge isn't telling the truth? What if I don't suck as his partner, or as a coach, or as a partner, or as a member of society? Because I don't know about you, but I had to take a real big back step from news and anything like that, because I just needed to get my head straight first before I started looking for sources that can be trusted. So, as you're thinking about areas in your life right now, where is it that your judge or your critic or your inner biatch could be coming in and actually causing less progress for you because you're just answering its constant ringing and calling of what you're not doing well, or where you may be coming in less than, or where you suck? Because it will say things like that. It will also say that others do. So be mindful of that. Like, watch for that too. Or this situation sucks. I had an example. I was speaking with someone and they were talking about someone else got a health diagnosis. And I was like, and this affects you how? And they were really making it about themselves, like really going into the story. They didn't live with the person. They didn't even really have a close connection with the person. But this other person's health diagnosis was taking over their time and they were making it about them. And I said to them, it sounds like your judge and your victim saboteur may be speaking to you in a way that doesn't even allow you to be there for the other person. Are you afraid? So she was judging the circumstance, but she was also making the circumstance about herself. And this is how sneaky your brain can be. Like, you don't even really want to do that. She didn't want to make it about herself. She didn't even realize that was happening. And when I suggested it, pointed it out, she was mortified. And I said, no, no, no. This is the moment that we celebrate, because now I've pointed that out to you. You will be aware when that happens moving forward. So this is the beauty of understanding behavior and neuroscience and what works and what doesn't work. Me pushing Jake isn't going to work. I can't physically do it. I don't want to, but I can't physically do it. And I can't make his brain change. But what I can do is build a trust so strong that I call him my young man, that this young man understands that the 1% rule applies here, 1%. And I'd like you to apply that to your life too. If there's some area where you're feeling stuck or where you're judging yourself or you're not speaking so kindly to yourself, 1%. 1% is all we have to move. We do not need to move this 50%, 100%. I actually had a moment last week where I judged myself as a coach and thinking, I'm not very good at this. Like, I don't crack a whip to get people to goal. That's not the type of coaching I do. And I've known that all along. And yet that insidious message can get in about that's what coaching should be. But nobody has a definition of what coaching should be. Might be nice if we had a governing body, but I'm okay with doing my own thing at this point. 1%. If you can shift 1%, that's 365% by the end of the year. You could start today. The year, you don't have to wait for January 1st to start again. The Gregorian calendar is not in charge of your life. You are. So it's not a grand gesture that needs to be done. Jake doesn't have to all of a sudden forget that somebody used cattle prods on him. He doesn't have to forget that other people weren't kind. He doesn't even have to forget that some people misjudged him and thought he was being obstinate when he was scared out of his flipping mind. He doesn't have to forget all that. But what he can do is trust that when I show up, and Jake has a song, I'm not going to sing it for you, but when I show up and I sing that song, that he knows who's in that stall with him. And he knows that I'm not going to do anything that's going to hurt him. We're going to build this trust 1% at a time. And coaching is the same. There's no magic wand. It's about having and holding space for any amount of growth. And so when my judge comes in and says to me, you're not a very good coach, I look to the data. I look to the clients I have that are with me, that tend to stay with me, because I'll speak truth and I will encourage you to succeed in whatever that means in your life. And I'm also going to be okay with incremental movement because I know it adds up. So when I realized that coaching, it was symbiotic, right? Like the coaching is the same way I work with Jake, which is guiding, not forcing, not making something happen. So when your judge comes up and it sees failure rather than progress, we're looking for progress over perfection. That's what we're going for here. If there is progress, then you can connect in with your own brilliance and celebrate that. I want you to celebrate that, because the judge, the critic, the inner biatch is not going to get quieter until you start showing some data. Our brain doesn't like to take something out and not put something back. So in that moment where you're recognizing that you did that 1%, you took care of the pile of papers that are on your desk. Want me to spin? For those who are listening, I'm spinning my camera to show those are client file that I have to file after I'm done with this. 1%, right? That's 1%, putting them away, making that phone call, celebrating that you did make that phone call, doing your 3 items that you're grateful for as you're going to sleep. Where in your life can you switch from this idea of judging yourself and that everything needs to be perfect? I got news for you. Life is not perfect. And to the point of where everything must be traumatic or stress or, the end of the world. Stop it. Stop it. It's not. It's life. Life happens. Life's going to happen to you. Life happens to me. It's not what happens, it's how you navigate it. And do you see a gift in it? Do you understand that you're growing, that you're expanding, and that you can't do things perfectly? It's not possible. It does not exist. Why does the word exist? Of perfection. Because it doesn't exist. I should look at the origin of that at one point. So start to recognize the judge's voice versus your wise, intuitive, wisdom, right brain self. Okay. So when I heard that I'm not a good coach, almost immediately what came in was, you know what? I'm really good at this farm management helping thing. I am really good at it. Why? There's systems, there's people, there's growth that's a potential. There are things that can be fixed immediately. There was a door that was broken. We fixed it immediately. There are things that will take time. Jake's trust, Lulu's trust, Gabby's. She's an Arabian. Lots of energy. So there's stuff that will take time, and that 1%. So when my brain started to really do a number on me and it felt awful, I went to the data of I am contributing. So look in your own life, right? Okay. Right? Okay. Look at your own life and see the areas of success that you have, and allow that data to come over to the areas that you feel like you are not doing well in. If you rock at work, but your personal relationships kind of stink, you still have the same skills outside of work that you do in work. You might want to look at how you can apply. Maybe the boundaries you have at work are better than the ones you have at home, and you need to start using that. So notice when you are in judgment. If you're saying anything about you suck, or this situation stinks, or that's unfair, or anything like that, you're in that judgment side. So just start noticing it, and don't judge that you judged. Just notice, okay, in yourself or in others. You don't have to act on it. You don't have to call people on it. Sometimes just observing it is enough. Yesterday, I went to send a text because something was irritating me, and I went to send a text. Thank goodness for how quickly your brain can come in and go, do you want to do that? Once you condition it. Because I started to type and I'm like, this is not me. This is hunger talking. This is tired talking, little dehydration. this is not how I communicate with people. Deleted it, let it go. A couple hours later, took a breath, then reached out to the person and said, okay, this is how we need to navigate this from my perspective. And it worked out great. Worked out absolutely. Had a wonderful conversation today about it. So your brain, all of our brains are going to have those moments where it kind of short circuits. You have to interrupt that negativity bias. How do you do that? You take breaths, you do PQ reps, rub your fingers together, really focus on those ridges, the calluses from doing yard work, and scoop and boop. Interrupt the pattern. Stare at something beautiful. Watch a tree flow and in the breeze and everything. So start to look at that and take those individual steps so your brain, your neural pathways can start to shift. Okay? Practice self-coaching. I mean, if you're on contract with me, you have access through email, text, Voxer, all of those things. We haven't moved our way to smoke signals yet because I can't really read them. But when you're in that place, you have that access of your own coach that lives within you. Okay, start accessing. What would you say to a good friend? What would you say to that character that's on the TV when you're witnessing it and they're doing the same behavior that you do? What would you say to that friend or to that character? You'd have amazing advice. You'd have amazing knowing. And that self-coaching can get you there. Shifting from the 3-to-1 ratio, there's 2 3-to-1 ratios that I live by. 3 negative thoughts to 1 positive is how my brain is set up from evolution. I choose 3 positive to 1 negative, and hopefully the negative doesn't show up. The negative for me always shows up internally. It's not to anyone else, but that still matters. And the other 3-to-1 ratio that I live by is when I'm pointing a finger at someone, I have 3 coming back to me. So before I do this, I make sure I get my data and I make sure I can back it up. Recently, I had an experience where someone said that they wouldn't work with me in a volunteer capacity because I was too blunt, too sharp, and didn't give room for her experience or something along those lines. And I took it to heart. I thought about it. And then I realized that what she was talking about was a moment where I had to use my barn voice. I had to say, that's not safe. What you're about to do there, don't do it. My spidey senses told me she was about to do it. My eyes caught up to my spidey senses and I said, stop. And if that's what's going to cause you to not work with me, then I'm not the person to work with. That's fine. But my job is to keep you safe. So I really looked at that because the 3-to-1 ratio is important to me. And afterwards, and I reached out to her and had conversation, but I said, I would do it again in a heartbeat because in that moment, you were crossing into the line of what could be a not great situation. And I can't let that happen as a trainer. Like I can't, as a person, I can't let that happen. I am the one that'll grab the kid who's trying to run across, whether it's my kid or not. It's just going to happen. But the 3-to-1 was I too sharp? Was what I said wrong? It was stop, so it wasn't wrong, but was my tone? I really looked at that and I considered it and then came to the place, this is the difference between judgment and discernment. I discerned that no, I would absolutely do that again in a heartbeat because that animal is not going to get in trouble for your stupid mistake. It's just not going to happen. So some days it's easier than others, and that's okay. And that's what I mean by that's life. We have to stop taking everything so personally. Really, we have to. Life happens, and some days it's easier to be kind to yourself than others. And some days it's easier to feel self-surety and self-command and confidence and any other word you want to use. Some days it's just easier. Realize that and be okay with it. Let's stop making everything so hard. So the bottom line here is progress over perfection, okay? If you can make that 1% movement, if you can allow yourself to see that 1% And to celebrate that 1%, you are going to end up with 2, 3, 5, 10, 75. You are. It's absolutely going to happen. So get excited about progress as well. There's a trust that I'm building with Jake, but there's also a trust, whether it's in your coach or yourself or government or the universe. It builds over time. We need evidence. Our brains need evidence. It will build over time. So start showing up for yourself, 1%. And what are you going to do? Notice when your judge is being a brat. Choose a different response. It really is that easy. Don't make life so hard. Your judge shows up. Notice that your judge, well, nice to see you again. You haven't been here in 10 minutes. What the hell have you been doing? When it does show up, acknowledge it. It will stop being such a big deal once you acknowledge it. You do not have to let your ego go. I just had a download just this moment now. I know some spiritual teachings will say disconnect from your ego, your judge, your critic, your id. You can't. As a human, that's it. Your ego is your judge, your critic, yourself. It is. You're not going to disconnect with that until you croak. So make friends with it. Get nice with it. If you're having a challenge with this beyond, no, Vicky, I can't get my voice to quiet, then reach out to me. I would love to help. I am grateful that you take this time for yourself and that I get to go along with you. And I would love to encourage you to tune in again in next episode when we will be talking about relationships and love and all of that. I couldn't do the Valentine timing thing. Oh, it's too schmaltzy. I can't do it. So I wish you all the best. Thank you for joining me in this sunshine with the slightly spicy kitty. And I will see you in the next episode. Hey, if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who could use this message. If you have a moment, leaving a review will help more people find this podcast. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time, your energy, and your presence in this universe. Have a fantastic day and more. I'll see you in the next episode.